JuJu Lewis, big-time quarterback in the 2025 class. Where's he going to end up? Well, he's verbally committed still to USC, and yet it doesn't feel like USC has all the momentum. Brian Smith, our Locked On Recruiting Insider here at the network, brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. How likely do you think it is, Brian, that JuJu Lewis ends up sticking with the Trojans and Lincoln Riley?
If you want me to give a percentage, I'll say like 25%. That would be where I'm at. He's taken multiple trips to like Bama, Auburn, Georgia. He's been to Colorado. He's going to take an OV to Indiana. Look, just saying. I know there's a connection there with the coach or whatever, and that's fine. Those are signs that he will not end up in Los Angeles. However, know Lewis a little bit, and he's pretty blunt when he's interviewed. He's looking forward to going out to LA again to like get to know what he even said, like, you know what, a 17-year-old in LA, I'm not from the biggest town. I need to check it out and see how I can be comfortable. I just think it's easier for him to go to like Auburn, which is 2 hours away. Georgia is about 2.5 hours away. Alabama, maybe 3. I just don't see it. And Auburn out of those is the most likely to flip him, and Freeze has got a great relationship with him. But like, regardless of where it is, my money is against the Trojans, however you want to split that up.
So Hugh Freeze is going into his second year with Auburn this season. Kalen DeBoer is going into his first year at Alabama. How important are these individual seasons going to be as they attempt to land this guy in the 2025 cycle?
Well, I mean, Julian is a uber competitive kid. Like, he gets really angry when he misses one pass. He's that guy. He's got a little Jordan syndrome in him.
He sounds like me.
Well, I'm not.
Jordan's a slightly better athlete. I was just thinking about me on the golf course, man. One shot. Oh, you idiot. Anyway, continue.
That's a whole nother story. I'm not talking golf. That is the hardest sport. But anyway, Julian's the kind of guy that wants to win. He's going to need to see something out of Auburn this year. If he flipped and Auburn just laid an egg and went 5-7, he probably ain't going there. He wants to win, but Auburn just had an incredible wide receiver class. They got to transfer in, et cetera, to help. They got a really good tight end group, et cetera. And they're building a pretty good O-line class too. Like, there's a lot to like. And Freeze is obviously proven as a play caller. That's not in question. So the question is, for him, it's not playing, it's like fit. Again, location. He's from a town that's probably got 50,000 people at most. It's a nice town called Carrollton in West Georgia, but again, smaller. It just fits Auburn better. It fits Tuscaloosa better. It even fits Athens better. I think the culture is the problem that SC has. A lot of people like LA, but do you want to live there if you're a kid from the South for 3-4 years? That's really the question, and I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Now, the counterpoint there to, the Los Angeles element is that Lincoln Riley is the quarterback whisperer in college football. Heisman Trophy winners, Heisman Trophy finalists, first round, number 1 overall NFL draft picks, of course. Is that going to be the strongest pitch USC can make to try to keep these other potential suitors at bay? Like, hey, Kalen DeBoer, he might have done this, but look at what Lincoln Riley's done. He's done it at the Power 5 level longer than Kalen DeBoer has. Is that going to be what USC probably tries to do here to keep him as a Trojan?
That's got to be part of the pitch, doesn't it? I mean, like, what you just said is it's incredible. I mean, it really is. And I'm not knocking it. It's in Los Angeles. If he was still at Oklahoma even, that would still be SEC. That would help him. Still kind of far, but he's all the way almost in the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so far away. I don't know if that's going to work. And all these other schools, they're just relentless. I know Auburn is all in on getting Julian Lewis. I just don't see that not working well. The other thing a lot of people don't know, you is a really good recruiter. So that's going to be a battle that could kind of play itself out in the long run, but maybe he even makes a decision this summer. So I know Auburn people think they're going to get it. So take it for what it's worth. USC people I've also told, they know that, like, this is not a lock just because he's committed to us. So, and talking to different people on both sides, it's a fascinating battle because you couldn't have two schools that are different culturally. Like, they are polar opposite. So it's what makes college football fun, though, Spencer. I mean, like, there is no sport with more cultural divide than college football.
No, it is. It is as I say every day on this show, Brian. It is the greatest sport on planet Earth because There's just nothing else like it. There's nothing like Saturdays. There's nothing like recruiting. There's nothing like the tradition. There's nothing else like it anywhere in the world. Though, I'm a big sports fan, generally speaking. So this is not the only sport that I watch and could talk about, but it is most definitely my favorite. One thing with Lewis, I'm curious about: does he expect to start as a true freshman? You look at Alabama's quarterback room, and Jalen Milroe, I believe, still has another year of eligibility. You've got Carson Beck will be off to the NFL. They've got Jaden Rashada in that room, though, as well as other names that will compete for the starting job in 2025. Auburn, of this bunch, might be the most open quarterback room because they're going to be Peyton Thorne this year, and I believe he is a senior. But also Peyton Thorne's kind of a lower ceiling guy, and does that transition feel like it would be the most seamless to, JuJu will come in and start right away at Auburn? Is that how they've gotten themselves into the fold?
That's at least got to be part of it. They've got a couple of guys that are pretty good younger players, but because of Peyton, they're not going to get to play much this year. I mean, everybody's just going in blind, and we both know first-year starting quarterbacks at any league aren't good in the SEC too. So if you're going to put one in there, I understand JuJu Lewis being your option because he's going to enroll early. He told me that a couple weeks ago, and he's going to be a kid that absorbs everything. And he's one of the rare kids, especially at his age, that can do those things quickly and make post-snap reads, understand leverage. He's really meticulous. So I don't think he doesn't even care. And again, this may sound arrogant, maybe it is. He already thinks he's the starter no matter where he goes. That's just his mindset. That's not realistic necessarily, but elite players often think that way. They can't look at something from the perspective of Spencer McLaughlin or Brian Smith. They can't do it. So I almost have to, when I interview him, I have to do it differently. It's just different kind of conversations because he is very linear. So I don't think it's going to matter to him anyway, but Auburn's is the most attractive on paper. So maybe his dad will look at it that way. His dad's very involved with the recruitment. But you know what? In college football, I've tried to predict who's going to win quarterback battles forever. I'm not very successful at it. I doubt many people are.
Well, you got a lot of
things go all kinds of directions.
Yeah, you got a lot of factors at play. Peyton Thorne, I just did a quick search, is indeed a senior, so this will be his last year of college football. And I mean, the other carrot that you've got to dangle there at Auburn is Cam Coleman. I mean, that guy.
I've seen that live.
Yeah, I mean,
I know him. That's different. Bro.
The hype around Cam Coleman at the wide receiver position, but Alabama's got a guy in Ryan Williams, and they're not exactly short on composite receiver talent in their last couple of classes. They're not really short on anything in Alabama. But I want to finish, and we're not going to say this super often on this show, but alas, here we are with the Indiana angle here, because Indiana getting it. Look, they just hired a new head coach from James Madison, where he was wildly successful. And, I've seen strange commitments before. You talk about, Colorado being in the mix as well. I remember when they landed a guy who's now in the transfer portal in Cormani McLean, and that was the first time everyone turned their heads and went, he went where? He actually went to Colorado. He didn't go to Miami. He didn't go to Florida. He didn't go to all these other places that had offered him. It would be a head-turning recruitment if either Colorado or especially Indiana, I think, landed JuJu Lewis. Do you think those two schools are on the outside looking in, and it's really just USC, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn?
I would rate it that way. Two reasons. Number one, Indiana, I believe, I could be wrong on this, all time in the FBS, the Big Five, well, the Pac-12 is no longer, so the Power Four.
RIP.
Yeah, there it is. They have the most losses in the power conferences all time. That's not a good stat.
Not great.
That is not good. Colorado stinks, and they've got 2 first-round picks. That is also not good. And I will be shocked if the head coach is there much longer either, because his son's going to go to the draft. And I'm not the only one in my industry that thinks that, among other people. So I just don't see why JuJu would go there. I really don't. They're not going to be very good. If I remember right, FanDuel has Colorado.
Their win total's 5. Their win total's 5.5.
Yeah, I'm going under. So.
See, I'm going over on the Buffs. I think they're a 6 or 7 win team. I don't think their schedule's that brutal. I like what they've done in the trenches, but that's perhaps a conversation for another day. Brian Smith, our Locked On Recruiting Insider here at the network. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Still more to get to on today's episode of Locked On College Football. right after this.